This is VK6 Amateur Radio News with NewsWest for Sunday the 21st of August 2022. Today is the New Amateurs edition, and we acknowledge and welcome newcomers to the hobby, and we have a bundle of information that's useful for amateurs, new and old. Do you know what a Maidenhead locator is and how they came about? Stay tuned and we'll tell you. We have a bit of a wrap on last weekend's Remembrance Day contest, a huge update on Perth Tech and more on NewsWest, and we're available online, on air and on demand.
To encourage new amateurs on air, we'd like to share with you the people who've gained and upgraded their licence in the past month. In case you're wondering, today there are 1,434 amateur licences held in VK6. That's a net loss of 3 licences from last month. When over 40 new foundation licensees have registered in VK6 this year, 12 alone this month, this means 15 current licensees have dropped off in a month. I have some doubts over the accuracy of the ACMA Register of Radio Licenses, the RRL. Make sure you renew your licence when it's due, please. Please welcome at Foundation Elliot, Colin, Brett, Ray, Leanne, James, Troy, Bill, Richard, Gordon, Rob, and a second Richard. At Advanced, Tom and Evan. Congratulations also to the Ham College, the NCRG and the AMC accredited assessors for all their hard work. For those new calls, congratulations on joining amateur radio. And hey, if you hear them calling, say good day. Offer congratulations and of course positive encouragement if they seem a bit diffident. Help them make some noise. So, let's try and keep the numbers growing instead of reducing. Come on, encourage someone you know who's keen but reluctant to get their licence.
Are there sharks in these waters? There may be. Welcome to New Ham's episode 55, which I entitled Amateurs with Dorsal Fins. Let's start this by saying that amateur radio attracts a broad range of people from all walks of life, and what we see in amateur radio is a reflection of our society, the good, the bad, and the ugly. New hams are faced with spending their hard-earned money on equipment to set up their shack. And unless you're buying new gear, you'll be buying used equipment from other amateurs. Some will seek rather high prices for aging equipment. Some of that is driven by greed, and some by remembering how expensive it was in 1885, and let's try and recoup some of it. When buying used equipment, not just radio gear, you need to do your market research and work out what the ballpark figure is for the piece of kit that you want to buy. Look at the age. Old electronic equipment will have reduced performance as the components deteriorate, contacts oxidize, etc., etc. Before you commit to buying any old equipment, check out the price of new gear. You may be surprised at the bang-for-buck comparison between the two, or at the very least you'll be informed when you make your choice. Finally, there's usually no warranty on second-hand amateur radio equipment. You need to make sure that it's working as claimed and that the price is in the correct range. Don't be put off about buying second-hand. I've bought used gear and done well. You just need to be cautious. And most of all, don't be in a hurry to buy. If you're unsure about what to buy, talk to an experienced person and seek their guidance. I'm Mike, VK6 Kilo Mike Sierra.
Well, this is all getting a bit exciting. Perth Tech is creeping up on us, just about 2 months away. Registrations have opened today, and there's a registration page in the Perth Tech section of our website, vk6.net. Registration is simple and payment is by credit or debit card using a secure payment portal at trybooking.com. We don't have facilities to receive cash payments, so please understand we do not have facilities to receive cash payments for your bookings. If you can't or won't do card payments online, please find someone who will do it for you and give them enough cash to repay them. Prior registration is required to attend Perth Tech, and we won't accept late registrations at the door. Registrations close on the 18th of October, and if you can't make up your mind by then, please don't make it our problem. You won't get a better offer than Perth Tech, so make up your mind now. We're still open to offers to conduct workshops on the Sunday. These are simple demonstrations, preferably involving the participants learning by doing. Contact us by email to perthtech@vk6.net if you'd like to conduct a workshop. These can take place in a park or your club rooms or wherever you like. If there's any cost to cover, contact us and let's talk about it. Perth Tech is something for you to look forward to. The presentations will be top-notch, the catering will be fabulous, there's even a chef involved with this lot, and the social aspect rewarding, and it's a bargain. A champagne event at a beer price. The cost of staging Perth Tech is heavily subsidised by the proceeds of last year's raffle. And speaking of raffles, we'll be running a day raffle, so bring $10 or better for your chances to win from a selection of prizes. The original plan was for the day raffle to break even at best, and because of some generous donations, we can put more prizes in the pool. Would you like to donate a prize or some cash towards the prize pool? Give us a nod by email to perthtech@vk6.net. All donations will be acknowledged, and you'll be thanked, of course. You can register now at our website vk6.net. Select Perth Tech and then the registrations page, and there it is in your face. And lastly, soon we'll be calling for people to help out at Perth Tech, doing things like selling raffle tickets, helping set up, helping to put things away at the end of the show, and other odd jobs. So please keep an ear out for the call and do your bit to make things tick along. Check out the vk6.net website often because it's updated regularly.
This is NewsWest from VK6 ARN, produced by amateurs for amateurs, purely about the hobby of amateur communication and experimentation. How did you go in the RD contest last weekend? We'd like to hear some stories for our next contesting edition of NewsWest. But besides that, it's important that you submit a log. Whether your score is mind-blowingly high or just a handful of contacts, your log submission makes a difference. This contest, in addition to the individual categories, has a state versus state aspect, and it's almost always won by the smaller states, and in recent history it's been Western Australia, Tasmania, and briefly South Australia. The state scores are calculated with a formula involving the number of amateurs, the number of logs submitted, and the total score. We're doing very well with over 40 logs submitted at the time of writing, and hopefully a few more will turn up. It's never been easier to submit your log. From your logging program, choose the option to export a Cabrillo log. Check it for errors, especially the category, power level, email address, station, and the operator's call signs at the top of the log. Head off to vklogchecker.com and load your log file. Too easy. Congratulations to all who took part. It looks like we've had a bumper turnout.
The NCRG Hamfest is now only a few weeks away. In the meantime, raffle tickets are running out the door fast. So what's on offer? First prize is an ICOM IC705 portable shack-in-a-box software-defined radio with 30 kHz to 470 MHz on receive, transmit on amateur bands 160 metres through to 70 centimetres with power output of up to 10 watts. Second prize is an ICOM IC2730 mobile, dual band with simultaneous receive, a large display and 50 watt transmit power. And finally, the third prize is a Comet GP9 antenna with 8.5 dB gain on 2 metres and almost 12 dB gain on 70 cms. It comes in at a short 17 foot tall. This is a 5-star antenna. Tickets are available via raffle link. You'll find more details and the links to ticketing in the recent post section on the NCRG website. Go to ncrg.info and on the Northern Corridor Radio Group Facebook page. Don't forget, you've got to be in it to win it.
Covering Western Australia and beyond, this is NewsWest, brought to you by WA Amateur Radio News, on air, online and on demand. This is VK6 ARN, and I'm Mark, VK4 MHQ.
Let's talk about the Maidenhead locator system, also known as the QTH locator and the IARU locator. It's a geocode system used by amateur radio operators to succinctly describe their geographic coordinates, which replaced the deprecated QRA locator, which was limited to European contacts. Its purpose is to be concise, accurate and robust in the face of interference and other adverse transmission conditions. The Maidenhead locator system can describe locations anywhere in the world. Maidenhead locators are also commonly referred to as QTH locators, grid locators or grid squares, although the squares are distorted on any non-equirectangular cartographic projection. Try and saying that without your teeth in. Use of the terms QTH locator and QRA locator was initially discouraged as it caused confusion with the older QRA locator system. The only abbreviation recommended to indicate a Maidenhead reference in Morse code and radio teleprinter transmission was LOC, as in LOCK N28LH. John Morris, Golf 4, ANB, originally devised the system, and it was adopted at a meeting of the IARU's VHF working group in Maidenhead, England in 1980, hence it's called Maidenhead. A Maidenhead locator compresses latitude and longitude into a short string of characters. This position information is presented in a limited level of precision to limit the number of characters needed for its transmission using voice or Morse code or any other operating mode. The chosen coding uses alternating pairs of letters and digits, such as Bravo Lima 1-1, Bravo Hotel 1-6. In each pair, the first character encodes longitude and the second character encodes latitude. These character pairs also have traditional names. In the case of letters, the range of characters or encoding base number used in each pair does vary. To avoid negative numbers in the input data, the system specifies that latitude is measured from the South Pole to the North Pole, and longitude is measured eastward from the anti-meridian of Greenwich, giving the prime meridian a false easting of 180 degrees and the equator a false northing of 90 degrees. To simplify manual encoding, the base for the first pair of letters, traditionally called a field, was chosen to be 18, thus dividing the globe into 18 zones of longitude of 20 degrees each and 18 zones of latitude of 10 degrees each. These zones are encoded with the letters A through to R. The second pair of numbers, called a square and placed after the first pair of letters, uses a base number of 10 and is encoded using the digits 0 to 9. This is where the alternative name grid squares comes from. Each of these squares represents 1 degree of latitude by 2 degrees of longitude. For additional precision, each square can optionally be subdivided further into subsquares. These are encoded into a second pair of letters, often but not always presented in lowercase. Again, to make manual calculations from degrees and minutes easier, 24 was chosen as the base number, giving these sub-square dimensions of 2.5 minutes of latitude by 5 minutes of longitude. The letters used are A through X. The resulting Maidenhead sub-square locator string is hence composed of 2 letters, 2 digits and 2 more letters. To give an example, W1AW, the American Radio Relay League's station in Newington, Connecticut, is found in grid locator FN31PR. 2 points within the same Maidenhead subsquare are always less than 10.4 kilometres apart, which means a Maidenhead locator can give adequate precision from only 6 easily transmissible characters. For even more precise location mapping, 2 additional digits were proposed and ratified as an extended locator, making it altogether 8 characters long and dividing subsquares into even smaller ones with dimensions of 15 seconds of latitude by 30 seconds of longitude. Such precision has uses in very short communication spans. Beyond this, no common definition exists to extend the system further into even smaller squares. Most often the extending is done by repeating alternating subsquare and square rules, base numbers 24 and 10 respectively. However, other bases for letter encodings have also been observed, and therefore such extended locators might not be compatible. To summarise, character pairs encode longitude first and then latitude. The first pair, a field, encodes with base 18 and the letters A to R. The second pair, which is a square, encodes with base 10 and the digits 0 to 9. The third pair, a subsquare, encodes with base 24 and the letters A to X and the fourth pair, if you should use it. The extended square encodes with base 10 and the digits 0 to 9. And thanks very much to Wikipedia, from which I read almost verbatim.
Prawnheads is a group that has been meeting for lunch for a quarter of a century or more. Why are we called Prawnheads? It's an acronym, albeit a long one. The full name of the group is the Perth Radio and Wireless Noodle House Eating and Discussion Society. Count it out on your fingers, it spells Prawnheads. Nowadays the group is mostly amateur radio folk meeting in Northbridge at the U&I restaurant on the corner of Francis and William Streets. The lunchtime meeting is at noon every Wednesday. Discussions about anything that turns up, and anyone is welcome to come along. In a couple of weeks, however, on Wednesday the 31st of August, we'll be going to Rockingham, lunching at the exclusive Chinese cuisine restaurant on Rockingham Beach Road, number 57B to be exact. If you forget the address, remember the name, Exclusive Chinese Cuisine. You're very welcome to join us. However, if you're not a regular prawnhead and you want to come to Rockingham, give us a shout so that we can fit you in. It's not a large restaurant. Email the NewsWest team, newswest@vk6.net, and we'll advise the chief prawnhead. Anything goes, well, almost anything. Next week is one of those extra weeks where we pause the NewsWest cycle of themes to have a no-theme episode, or as we like to call it, anything goes. I doubt we'd live up to the scandalous goings-on alluded to in the 1934 Cole Porter song, but we can try. So next week we can include anything and everything that's relevant to us as amateur radio operators in Western Australia or beyond. Apparently there are rumours of the existence of a beyond. You know what's coming next. We want your stories to include in our Anything Goes episode next week. The usual rules apply. We won't publish anything that will land us in court, and of course it should be written in some form of decent English. As Cole Porter wrote, good authors, too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words. Writing prose, anything goes. You can send your contributions as email attachments to newswest@vk6.net.
Previously in the New Hams series, we've discussed how to go about getting on air, where you can go to learn how to do this, and what sort of equipment you could use. Today, let's talk about antennas and locations and some related subjects. Firstly, the best antenna is the most expensive one, right? Well, possibly. However, the most expensive antenna, although it may be technically superior, may not be the best one for you. Now, if you're in an urban area, you must first discover from your local government office if there are any restrictions on or rules about erecting masts or even a vertical antenna. I'd be a bit cautious about giving them your address up front until you find out a few facts from them. How high can you make a mast or a vertical antenna before you need formal permission? Do you need to obtain neighbours' consent or approval? As far as I'm aware, only one Perth Metropolitan Shire or City Council has a policy on radio masts, but there might be some others. How much room do you have on your urban block? If you're going to put up a yagi, for instance, it'll need to rotate entirely within your property, unless your neighbours are really generous. Even then, you'd be skating on thin ice, because what if they sell up and the next lot aren't happy about a yagi hanging over the fence? The humble dipole, especially for 40 and 80 metres, is a challenge for small urban blocks. There's plenty of information on the internet about fitting antennas into backyards, and you should read up on it. So here we are. There's a clear tension between an antenna that's a technical triumph and one that you can practically place on your block of land. As I've said previously, your best source of information is other amateurs. Try talking with someone over coffee or at a club meeting. We've all been there, we've all done that, and you'll get some good advice. And maybe some not so good advice, but you have to sort the wheat from the chaff. I'm fortunate that I'm living on 5 acres of land, and rather fortuitously, around 40 years ago, I planted a lot of trees in very good positions for supporting antennas, and that was due to good luck and not design. So in your urban block, you may need to think of ways to support an antenna to make it function properly for you. There are 2 more factors to discuss, and the first one is cost. If all you can afford is a wire dipole, then make do with a wire dipole, or a doublet. You can get a very good result with a dipole or a doublet, So explore the options. Please don't spend over your sensible limit. The other factor is, of course, the spousal factor. I call it the spousal attenuator. So please do discuss your plans with your partner. To us, a 20-metre tower with a 7-element Yagi looming over the house is a thing of beauty, not to the spouse. I'm Bob, VK6POP.
On HF, VHF and UHF via the VK6 linked repeater network, and online, this is NewsWest from VK6ARN.
Good morning, this is Roy VK6XV with this week's helpline for the 21st of August 2022. But I don't have anything to report, unfortunately. Everyone seems happy with their lot at the moment, which is always good to know. Everyone happy makes me happy as well. So if you have anything for next week, please give me a call. VK6XRay Victor at bigpond.com is the address. Victor Kilo 6 X-Ray Victor at bigpond.com. Until we meet then, and again, 7-3.
Thanks for listening, and when we finish here, please stay around for callbacks and thank the broadcaster for their efforts while you're at it. And broadly, thanks to the broadcasters who do put the news service to air every week. And thank you to the groups who maintain the repeaters and networks that carry the news broadcasts. Thanks to the studio team. This week it was Andrew VK6AS, Roy VK6XV, and Mike in absentia, who's still laid low by COVID. I'm Bob VK6POP, the NewsWest producer, still. And my final duty today is to remind you to do your callback and then stay on air and make some more noise.